Let's speak now to Peter Mathews, who's a professor of political science at Cyprus College and the author of Dollar Democracy, joins us now from Los Angeles. So, Peter Mathews, this Democratic sweep never materialised. How do you assess the state of play?
Well, it's like you said, but it's down to the blue wall of the three major states that Trump won with just 77,000 votes among all three states. And this is what we have to wait for. And you mentioned earlier in the news report that in Wisconsin, it's the cities like Milwaukee and Madison. Those cities are urban voters. They're Biden voters, Democratic voters. They have not been counted yet. And they were early voters. The same thing with the Pennsylvania vote. Those were the early voters that have not been counted yet. And I believe that this can make a difference. And we've got to see. Of course, the Democratic sweep that many people thought might happen by Biden perhaps winning Florida as well as Texas did not come through. And North Carolina, all three of those states were certainly disappointments for Democrats. But now the blue wall needs to hold up for them as far as they're concerned, and it just might. We'll have to wait till tomorrow and see. The next few days till Friday.
The president has already come out, as I said before, tweeting, saying that the Democrats are attempting to steal the election from him without citing any evidence, of course. But we knew all this was going to happen. We knew that if it was going to be tight, that the president would cry foul. So now, potentially, we enter this litigation. How long is that going to take? Where could it take us? And, what could the resolution be?
It's a very precarious situation. And really, I would instruct the president to hold off and not make these claims without evidence that there's a Democrat trying to steal the election. The fact is he needs to wait till the vote count is finished. Even his own Supreme Court, meaning that two of those justices are his justices, ruled that Pennsylvania has a right to wait for 2 days to count the rest of those votes. And he wants to cut the process short and to short-circuit everything and say that he won. It's completely not at all part of the American tradition. We've always waited for all the votes to be counted. And you cannot disenfranchise people by saying, I want my victory tonight. So that's what the president ought to do. He needs to cool down a little bit and let things take its course, let the counting go on. And then whoever wins the number of votes in those states and the Electoral College votes as a result will be the next president.
Right. What further complicates that is that, as far as Pennsylvania is concerned, is that three of the justices on the Supreme Court indicated that they may revisit that decision about Pennsylvania in the coming days.
That's true, which in a sense encourages the president to consider going and appealing it again and having it heard once again, especially with Amy Coney Barrett, his own third appointee on the court at this time, who might rule in his favor. So we don't really know what can happen. That does complicate things. It seems like the rule of law principle is being, in my view, kind of bent and twisted as opposed to us adhering to it. John Locke a long time ago said that the law must be applied evenly and equally to every single person, every single situation in a given democracy. And that's why when this ruling came down by the court saying, let Pennsylvania count the votes for the next 2 days, as the Pennsylvania court had decided, as the Pennsylvania legislature decided, that should have been followed all the way through and should still be followed without the president trying to appeal it to a Supreme Court, which he just packed recently with three of his own appointments.
Yeah, well, it's going to be very interesting to see how all this develops. Peter Mathews, for the time being, thanks very much indeed. Peter Mathews joining us there from Los Angeles.